All right, guys, restoration, rebuilding, restoring, a lot of words you hear used very often in our industry. And I want to go over some things because Christian brought up a good point as we were walking over here from doing another video on another truck that just arrived that was kind of viral yesterday. We keep an awesome flow of trucks, as you guys that follow know. We don't build every one of them from scratch. We do, like the one behind us there. We have done a mountain worth of work of finishing touches, but the only reason it's able to even be done today is it was already a good start. So we're always looking for trucks. We're always looking for projects. But when I say projects, we also get overwhelmed with stuff that's like, it doesn't really make sense because obviously we are a business. Though we love to take some of the square bodies and keep them at home and hoard them away, and some of the other classics, not just square bodies, we also have to buy and sell them. So it's always a moving target. So we've got this area here, and I have seriously many times considered making this a clean restoration project area. Sectioning it off into like 4 sections, which would be super easy to do, where every vehicle had their own bay, their own shelves. And for you guys, I'm preaching to the choir to those guys that have ever done a project and finished a project because of the fact, if you had it in your garage at home, you literally had boxes and shelves, the bed of the truck full, the cab of the truck full, and that's okay until you need to move something. And when you're in a shop environment, stuff has to move every day. Up at the off-road shop, they get 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 trucks in and out every day doing a normal 6-inch lift kit or a leveling kit. Who knows? They turn out 2 to 3 lift kits a day on top of doing the other projects that are being done. But there's other facets to that. As you guys that follow know, we've got a particular guy for the interior, Kenny. He's very meticulous. Now, he can do anything. He's a full-blown mechanic, but his expertise is interiors. We've got my Uncle David. He's a guy that came along from the days when square bodies were already used when he was coming along. So he's been in the doors. He's fixed the locks, the windows. He's been under the hood. Of course, at 70-some years old, he doesn't like climbing up on a 40-inch tire, 12-inch lifted truck anymore, but he can do any part of the truck. So he's the guy that goes by and finds the broken wire and finds why the window's not working and aligns this and adjusts that and makes the doors close like they're supposed to. Then you go up to the shop, unlimited amount of options up there, from fabrication to the power steps, the steering, the lift kits, the shocks, the tires, even our own produced wheels, so many things there. Then you go past that with body and paint. That's where the stumble becomes. We have our long-term friend, Matt, that does a ton of stuff, and he gets stuff in and out for us as quickly as he can and as good as he can. But he's got projects in his shop that have been there for 10 years. So again, something can get pushed to the side very quickly, and that's not what you want to happen. Then we have a couple other body shops that are constantly, steadily full of our projects and stuff. But to do a full, like this truck behind us, where it has a show quality black paint job, kudos to the builder that did the paint work, because there is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours to do that. Now, here's where I struggle with this building. Struggle both ways. And this very well could become a reality, because the shop doesn't have the need to have a $200,000 or $300,000 truck sitting in there. The body shop, guy, he only wants it when he can do it, then it comes back. If we section this into 4 sections, we still would have storage and shop space and everything else. For those that understand what it takes, and the reason for this video is I've probably had 8 to 10 in this week alone come. One is one of the customers that came and looked at that truck right there. Understand a real budget to build a vehicle and do it properly, nut and bolt, show quality, but still functional. Like not have stuff undone, not have stuff not finished, and willing to spend $150,000. $200,000, $250,000, $300,000. I know for a lot of guys that's out of the question. They got to do it in their backyard. They got to do it themselves. But what you have to understand and can't hate on is the guy that can do that has made his money. Maybe he got a huge inheritance. Maybe he won the lottery. But chances are he worked his butt off. Or let's just say he's a younger guy. Maybe he's a surgeon. Maybe he's a doctor. Maybe a screwdriver doesn't fit his hands, but he still loves a classic or a hot rod. You can't fault him for going to work and making hundreds of dollars an hour and being able to afford somebody else to build his truck, which is where we come in. So For those guys out there that we have to say no a lot of times, there is an option here. And we've got building after building after building, storage containers, carports. I mean, we've got stuff shoved everywhere, hundreds and hundreds of vehicles under roof. But this particular area is the clean environment that a truck, such as this build right here, I mean, go ahead and look underneath of it, Christian, show them under the hood and everything else. I mean, that's how one of these trucks needs to be done. We've got one that came in yesterday that Daniel is very excited, Brian as well. It's some really cool colors. The paint is done, so that's the big part of things for us. But it's going to get this finishing touch build like you see right here, down to the nuts and the bolts and the interior. It's going to be an extremely high-end truck when it's finished. But everything down to the dome light working, everything being done. This truck's still getting its finishing touches. There's still a lot of them to be done. But the air condition is now done. The heat is now done. We also have Junior. I didn't mention him in our task of people. Junior is a business owner, shop owner, that's been doing stuff for us for, I guess, 30 years, or right close to 30 years anyway. He has since retired and does stuff at home for us. He is my heat and air condition and also some interior features. He's also a full-blown mechanic. He can do anything. He's going to do some fuel lines on one for us today or tomorrow, whenever we get it to him. But he is my specific guy. So we have assembled a master team of guys that know what they're doing. And that is what allows us to be able to do this. But again, in doing that, they all make a paycheck. Nothing is free. And I did a little quick calling and research online because I haven't done this in probably, well, it's been a long time since I actually ran the shop, comparing like shop labor rates, paint shop, restoration shop, mechanical shop. Everybody has a different dollar amount they charge. But for you guys that don't understand what stuff does cost in today's standards, about $150 an hour seems to be industry standard. Some restoration shops that are multifaceted, where they can do motor work, they can do chassis work, they do paint work, they're $300 an hour. Multiply that just by 1 week. It's a big number. Most projects take years. So for the guy that doesn't also want to wait a year, buying a project that's already done, there's nothing wrong with it. Somebody might say, oh, that's so-and-so's truck, or that's so-and-so's build. So be it. If you can go enjoy it the next day, which is the case on a lot of these trucks, versus going through that painful process, and we'll get to the part that really makes it painful, which is unfortunate. There's something to be said for that too. And that's where it goes back to our square body school. If you hadn't saw our square body school, I think it's specifically on our YouTube channel. Go back to that because it points out some things, and that was done 2 years ago. Even some things on that are dated now. Some of those prices are not in line. It would definitely cost more to do it today as it did back then, because everything's changing. Everything in the world's gone up. But if you go to a restoration shop and you drop your car off and you're patient enough, usually they're going to do it like on a monthly basis. Okay, we've got 80 hours or we've got 120 hours, come pay me. Okay, you see the progress. Just like if you were coming in here. Come on, let's walk in here and let's see your truck. Let's see that 80 hours. Let's see that 90 hours. What happens with a lot of these shops, and you're seeing them get blasted online now, there's a couple of them that I follow. There's one guy out there, poor fella, spent about $150,000 on an older Ford truck for his son. Really did not want to spend that. When you really see the whole thing and hear the whole thing, he wanted to spend like 50 grand. But the shop kept plugging him. Part of his customer fault. Customer probably got a phone call. Hey, we're at this spot. Do you want a carburetor or fuel injection? Oh, cool. Fuel injection sounds good. Well, it went from a $1,000 carburetor to a $3,000 fuel injection. There's 2 extra grand, plus labor to wire it, and plus labor to do everything else. He probably just said okay without a quote. So his bill grew and his bill grew. He got to 150 grand. They sent him another invoice. He's like, I can't do anymore. Like, I'm done. And I think on top of it, they hadn't been working on the truck. It had just been sitting. 1 year turned into 2 or 3 years. He finally went and picked up a whole trailer full of parts, basically, you know. So now he's still got to spend time or take it somewhere else to finish it. We end up with stuff at the shop that way all the time. Somebody tries something in their backyard or tries to do something and we end up finishing it. It's okay, no problem. But sometimes it costs more to do it the second time than it would have been to do it right the first time. It's really a lot of trials and tribulations. And as I hear more stories from these customers where, you know, they've gone down this road, they've spent hard-earned money, they've tried to spend hard-earned money, and it didn't work out or the truck just sat, we can sympathize. We understand. And again, we're only a certain amount of people. Even in our big circle, we're only a certain amount of people. So realistic timelines is another thing. Customer bought a truck yesterday and he's like, cool, no rush, no big deal. Then, you know, this morning he texts, man, I hate to ask, but what's my timeline? I thought there wasn't a rush. It's not that we were going to put it on the back burner. We already ordered parts and had everything moving. But at the same time, you know, realistically, he's 2 or 3 weeks out. You know, that's pretty quick for what he needs done. And we'll get it done. It might end up being a month, might end up being a week and a half. But we try to give a realistic timeline. And like with these trucks that are being sold, if they're going up to the off-road shop, if they're going to Junior for air conditioning, if they're going to Kenny for interior, if they're going somewhere to have a hood painted or changed, you know, those things are outside elements. You know, if that guy gets sick, that's not a crew, it's a guy. You know, it's not somebody that falls in his place. It's not a substitute bus driver coming. It's him. If he gets sick and he's down for a week, everything, not only your project, but all the others that follow behind it are behind as well. So again, sometimes I feel like some of these things are a little bit of wasted conversation, but we have seriously considered this area for some of you guys that are out there that want to tackle the project, that want to see projects going. Just got off the phone with a customer of one of these trucks that we have that I didn't get it from him. I got it from somebody he sold it to. And he tracked it down, saw that we had it, and he's in love. Like, he's like, dude, I fell on some bad times. I got rid of the truck. That other guy got it. He did a few things. But I am so happy you guys have it. I know you're building it and you're going to sell it. That's awesome. Send me some pictures, please. I mean, a lot of people just want to be involved in the project. We've got customers every day. They just love being involved. If we can just communicate with them. If something gets done, send them a picture. They're so happy. If something doesn't get done, just tell them, look, we didn't work on it today. We'll be back on it on Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday. A little communication. They love the update though. And that's, you know, for some people, that's their hunting, that's their fishing, that's their, they don't have kids, they don't have something to go home to. They go home and watch this channel. They go home and watch TikTok. They go home and watch other YouTube builders. They want a little bit of fun in their life too, even if they're not a backyard mechanic or if they're not a in the garage mechanic. And the funny thing is, the guys that are real good mechanics don't go home and work on their own cars. It's like the guy that's a body shop guy. He's usually riding around in a car that has primer, you know, because you don't ever get to your own stuff. Me, Daniel, Brian, we're all guilty of it. We got garages full of cars that need batteries. Batteries take 10 minutes. But you don't want to work when you own stuff when you get home. You know, that's just the way it goes. You know, it's crazy, the people with the most talent, like the, you know, like paint guys, for example, airbrush guys, stuff like that. You know, they're the ones that don't even have their own stuff done. You know, they do everybody else's stuff. So again, a little bit of this is repetitive, but we look at this area and we know that there's a lot of projects out there, and we know there's probably some guys out there that don't mind spending the money, and we don't like saying no to everything. But as Christian said, you know, he feels bad sometimes because, you know, when we respond to people, you know, sometimes their project, that's their baby to them, isn't quite what works for us. You know, we had a call this morning. A guy took a truck apart in 1976 with 1,000 miles. It was a brand new truck. He pulled it apart. I don't know if he was going to build a custom truck or what his plan was. He completely disassembled it. It's been sitting since 1976. I can tell you that's 48 years because that's just about the year I was born. In pieces. He'd like to put it back together, but we, other than like this clean facility here where we could shelve everything and organize everything, something's been lost in that amount of time. We got to source it and we got to find it, and then we could put it back together. But you got to understand that there's a cost that comes with that, and what the cost is times 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week, it does add up. But for the guys that are out there that don't mind spending it, we kind of want to be your go-to guy. We want to be able to do that. Nobody likes that end result of, holy crap, I spent $200,000 or $300,000, maybe even $50,000, whatever the number is. If you get what you want, there's really no price. And, you know, we get customers a lot of times also that are terminal. Something's going on. They might have cancer. They've got a certain amount of time to live. At that point, money is trivial. We've had them send stuff before and get promises and then pass away before that promise came true. And that sucks. Like that, I mean, those stories are so heart-wrenching, it's not funny, but it's part of the business. It's part of what happens. So we see a lot. We've seen a lot. We're kind of like that commercial for Farmers Insurance. But in 50 years and in my 40 actual working around the car business years, my brother's, you know, 30 to 40 years, Mike's been in it his whole life, 50 plus years. All of us have seen a lot of things, and combined, it's crazy the stories and things we've heard. But when it comes to restoration, hopefully this explains a little bit to you guys. Hopefully it also explains some of the price points of some things, because a lot of times when we have a truck that say is $100,000 or $120,000, we get all the hecklers. Oh, you're higher than the sky. You're higher. You know, there's some other terms that are used that I can't say on YouTube. But in reality, it's a $200,000 truck. It's a $250,000 truck. If you had to pay the labor, take the time to build the truck the way it is. So somebody's not only getting a truck for a half price build, they're able to enjoy it the next day or 2 days later or 5 days later. And even Christian, when he does his little projects, I mean, he's got ants in his pants, you know, like, oh, I want to get my truck back. I want to get my truck back. You know, just getting something painted or just getting something done. We all are guilty of that. We're also all guilty in this day and time of not being patient and not understanding timelines, and that things do come. Sometimes everything doesn't arrive. We get 3 shocks. They don't do us any good. We got to have 4. Or if we get shocks and they're missing bushings, or a tire order gets delayed, the weather affects things. So many things happen that are out of the human control in a lot of cases. And you know, all we can do is just be upfront with customers and let them know what's going on and keep them in the loop on their projects. So thanks, guys. We really appreciate the support. Hopefully this video hits home to some people. And if you are out there with a really cool project that you think our team can help with, whether it be working on it for you, which we're not ready for that yet, or selling it and buying it or consigning it, that's where we are ready, and we'll be happy to help you out. So thanks, guys. As always, Davis Drives on YouTube.